So I tried to do a little live stream while driving, and I realized that technically speaking, that's not a good idea. It's about as smart as trying to live stream from inside of a cave like I did 2 days ago. So this is, doing a recording that I'll upload. And the reason why I wanted to reach out this morning is to do everything that I can to spread the word about these safety videos that I've been working so hard for so many years to create, and I keep running into to people who have never heard of them. Maybe they've never even heard of me. That's of course that's always going to be the case. But the process of learning how to become a skydiver ain't so easy. It's overwhelming, and the cost of failure, of mistakes, is pretty big, right? I mean, you can bust yourself, you can kill yourself, and you can bust other people, you can kill other people. That's even worse, I think, in my opinion. And so what I did was, first I wrote a book. It was years ago. I was living in Zephyr Hills. I didn't want to write a book. Chucky Karcher said, "Brian, you're the one. You should write this book." And at that point, the first one was about free flying safety, about the mentality of free flying, and the value of an open-minded approach to skydiving. And people liked it. It's called Vertical Journey. It's not in print at the moment, but the video form of that information is, at least to a certain degree. Maybe put that one back on there on the shelves one of these days. But then I wrote a book called The Parachute Its Pilot, and a lot of people read that one and thought, "Oh, okay, they like it. Then what else can I do?" Because I kept revamping the book, adding more information as I learned more, or saw gaps in it. Self-published, so the first version, some of you might already have. There's so many spelling errors, and I'm very sorry to all of you who were annoyed by these spelling errors. But now we're at the 5th edition, and I think I got all the spelling errors and added more content. And it's good. I'm proud of it. I am. But it's not the whole story. There's more. So, all right, well, what else can I do to reach out to people in different ways to explain stuff? So showing videos is one of the ways that we communicate. For instance, how do you land your parachute the safest possible way? Well, you got to show some actual landings, and I've filmed as many landings as anybody in the world, after all these years of teaching canopy courses. And so I managed to pull off, pull didactic landings, that are sort of useful for kind of teachable moments, and put them together with organized PowerPoints to keep me on track. And so what I did was I created this stuff that now you can buy the book, and you can get it with the DVD, with the videos. There used to be DVDs. Now it's actual flash drives. And so to save the data onto your hard drive as opposed to streaming has a lot of advantages. And to have it in a solid state is amazing. I mean, I used to have I had one of these solid state drives that I guess it was in my pocket, and I was on my way to go skiing. I was back when I used to live in upstate New York. And on the way to skiing, it fell out of my car at a gas station in the snow. And on the way back, I stopped at the same gas station for some reason, and there was my drive in the snow. I picked it up. I was like, well, this thing ain't going to work. I plugged it in, and it worked fine. And that was literally 15 years ago, and that flash drive still works. Solid state, right? It's an amazing technology. And so, yeah, we can put, it's 128. It's a lot of data that you can put on there. So it's 24 hours of video. All the Adventure Wisdom videos can be on that flash drive. So you get the book, you get that, you got something that's tangible. You don't have to download, you don't have to wait for streaming, upload times or whatever else. You can download the information directly, through Adventure Wisdom. It's an option. But I don't want people to know that we've got this other newer option where you can get the book. And a lot of people say, well, I read your book, I had the book, but then I gave it to somebody that I loved, that I felt like, could use this information. I never got it back. Okay, fine, we'll get another one. We just did another print run. And Christmas is coming up, so for those of you who have loved ones who jump out of planes, might be an awfully thoughtful gift that's could reduce their chances of getting smushed, broken, whatever you want to call it. Or in a lot of the problems that we see in skydiving are not like the overt crash and burn, and now you're on crutches. A lot of it's just something that scares the hell out of somebody, or sort of the repeated exposure to, I'm flying in turbulence, canopy's bouncing around, it scares the heck out of me. Nobody's giving me a straight answer about what I can do to reduce my risks. Maybe I see somebody get hurt from turbulence, or I hear about it, and I don't know what to do. And then as a result of that sort of repeated, painful fear, I end up quitting the sport, because I can't make a case in my mind for why I should do something dangerous if I don't have an understanding that's going to reduce my risks. And so we lose people. They quit the sport, and that's not cool, man. I mean, it's the greatest sport ever. It's one of the greatest sports ever. I love a lot of different things, but skydiving in particular, it will always hold a place in my heart, and I will always jump out of airplanes. I'm never going to quit. I can't even imagine why somebody would, it's like, okay, I can see why you'd like, I'm going to quit gluten. It's no good for me. It gives me diarrhea or whatever it is. All right, maybe you should quit gluten, but why would you want to quit skydiving if it gives so much? It has given me the opportunity to expand myself in ways that I didn't know it would. And I'm willing to bet that it's the same thing for you too, that skydiving has offered you an expansion of parts of yourself that you didn't know could expand. That there's a larger version of you waiting to unfold, but it requires challenge. It requires you being scared and having to calm yourself down, and having a complicated situation where you have to think and solve the problem navigationally under canopy, for instance. You got a spot that's not ideal, and then you got to find a way to get home, or at least get to a safe landing spot. It might not be on the drop zone, but safe is safe, right? I don't know, isn't that cool that we get forced into brilliance? We get forced into this opportunity to sharpen our consciousness, to bring our awareness so much into the present moment that we feel alive, really alive, not dreaming about what could be theoretically, or worrying about what could be, or thinking about what happened in the past, and then having that refresh into our consciousness enough that it happens again, or something like it happens again, or just remembering what those crappy things were in the past. We ruin our present. Maybe we don't actually have that crash happen again, but we're not having fun. So it seems to me that changing gears mentally as a human being from the past and the future as our focus is essential. And as we dig deeper into the present moment, we'll realize there's certain tools of understanding that give us leverage, that there's a way, and people want to say, what's the best way? And I like the idea of the best way to land a parachute, or drive a car, or ski down a mountain. But the truth is, it's not that simple. That there are best ways, best practices, you could call it, or call it really good ways, But there's a lot of really bad ways that people are, trying to force a square peg into a round hole. And, by doing it the hard way, they get frustrated. They sometimes will have problems. So what I try to do with the Adventure Wisdom programming is to apply the wisdom that has come to me. It sounds arrogant, doesn't it? Like, if you don't understand where I'm coming from or who I am, you go, wisdom? Who does he think he is? No, it's the wisdom information, right? The information is what's wise, not the person. And of course, you can, be playing the role of a wise person if you are to recognize the value of specific information and then keep bringing it back up into your own consciousness and spread that wisdom information to other people, right? That the path of service, of finding truthful, all truth is conditional, but under these conditions, truthful information that empowers you, that makes you safer, that gives you more freedom, gives you more ability to save yourself. That's what adventure wisdom is to me. And so after jumping out of airplanes for so long, 30-something years, I don't know, 33, 34, 35, it's a long, 86, you do the math, is when I started, April 13th, 1986. It's been one hell of a ride. It's been a really impressive journey of shock and awe and bliss and joy and friendships and love and connection, not just connection to other individual people, but of groups of people, of cultures of people, of nations, where I got to, through the sport of skydiving, I get to meet planet Earth, all the Earthlings. That's pretty darn cool. So that's what you're going to find in the Adventure Wisdom videos. That's what you're going to find in the books that I continue to write. And yes, I promise I will finish these books that I've been writing for years. But you gotta, for those of you that don't have kids, maybe you will someday and you'll understand, certain aspects of your life slow down. I have changed so many diapers over the past 10 years. I've washed a lot of dishes and done a lot of laundry, and sat around watching a lot of soccer practices, you know what I mean? And it makes me feel very good to be a caring dad that helps my kids have a great experience. That said, if you are to look at the value of what I do with the writing stuff, it's worth my time also, both, and so I have been dedicating more and more time to going back and just sort of pushing that boulder a little bit further along, the next book. And I've got a number of them that are really a little more than half baked, and they're close, and I think you're going to love them. But in the meantime, have a look. The book Transcending Fear, I put my whole heart into that one. I live that book. The idea that fear is not beneficial is a fundamental discrepancy of opinion compared to the way that we're taught, that we are programmed to believe that fear is a positive thing, that it's useful. And I'd say, well, how could a negative emotion be a positive thing? And my gut's telling me it can't. That fear can be an indication that you're off path. I just said that to Matthew. We were climbing around at Rocks and Water, and he kind of got a little bit. I said, well, just because you get scared, it's just information. It doesn't mean that you need to continue to be scared. It just means that you need to continue to evaluate your path and maybe make some changes. Because if your path is leading you to feel freaked out, well, then maybe you don't have the skill to do what you're trying to do right now. Maybe you will, but maybe you don't right now. Maybe the conditions aren't right, slippery rock causing this, you start to slide, and you seize up and you freak yourself out. It's just it's an indication of what is happening, but it's not a solution. Fear in and itself is not a solution. It's something that screams very loudly in our ears to try to get our attention, and it's just simply another one of the voices in our head, but it's not one that we should give the microphone to and say, "Here you go, talk to the crowd," because fear isn't. It's short-sighted, right? It's not long-sighted. It's not in for the collective improvement of the situation, right? Not just you, but everybody. Fear doesn't lead that direction. So I think as skydivers and adventure folks, people that follow me, you know what I'm talking about. So that book was not just about what fear is, not just what we can do about it, to sort of soften that emotional experience and create greater clarity. But the book was also about why. Because sometimes that's all you got. You're like, all right, I'm trying to breathe slower. I'm trying to move ahead, even though I'm freaking out. But I have to keep refreshing my connection to the reason why I'm doing the scary thing. Why am I pushing forward into an area that makes me uncomfortable? In time and time again, I get the realization that I'm freaked out because I'm thinking too much. I'm just letting my head take over too much. And I'm forgetting the reason underneath those little thoughts, the big thoughts underneath it, right? That's the reasons. The little thoughts are just the excuses why you shouldn't. Why should you, for instance, get out of your car and just start walking in the woods? I'm not even wearing appropriate footwear at the moment. I'm sort of wearing my bedroom slippers. It's funny. Well, they're not beds. They're like, I don't know what you call those. They're not. You can't lace them up, so they're not great for climbing. And I was hanging out with Don Kellner. The guy's got more jumps than anybody in the world. Almost 84 years old. And I looked down. He's wearing exactly the same shoes as me. I was like, aha, comfortable. They are comfortable. So I just figured I would end the live stream. Sorry, it's not a live stream, is it? In this recording, in a place like this, so that you can have this moment. Maybe you're in your office, maybe you got your little earbuds in and nobody knows what you're doing. But this is where I am, and you can be here with me. A little deep breath. It's a secret weapon, isn't it? The ability to refocus your mind in a direction that makes sense to you. So that's kind of what I've been trying to do with all of it, with the books and the videos and everything else, is create greater clarity about what the truth is. The truth of how to fly your parachute, the truth about how to, kind of calm yourself down. You see the waterfall over there? Isn't that nice? How to calm yourself down into being your highest self. That's what it's all about. Your highest self is compassionate. It's helpful. It's with foresight, which is an aspect of wisdom where you can look ahead and avoid problems, to navigate complexity. Human life on this particular planet, man, it gets crazy complicated and really provocative, and people end up kind of overwhelmed a little sometimes. And I get that. I do too. If you come to nature, you have a seat, you look at a waterfall, you get the sunshine on your face, you'll put it into perspective, right? You put it into perspective, and everything will be all right. Have a great day, everybody.
forward.